Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Hairyman Hoaxes and Hoodwinks. Whew, man, it was a mad rush for me to get ready today, but I'm here and I got a good show for you. And it looks like everybody's coming in. Ooh, we're already at 20. Nice, nice. Because you guys get to talk or mean to listen to me talk for 2 hours. So now's your time to escape if you want to. I'll probably throw the link in the chat and during the second half. But this first half, I decided to do something a little bit different. The title was extra, extra, right? Read all about it because I got the bug for looking into things in certain sites because of Erik from Media Palace. And people were sending me all kinds of different .orgs and .govs and all those, places that hold all this great information. And I just went in a deep dive, but it got me thinking certain things. So we're going to get into that. But let me say hello to everybody who's here. So let's see who we've got. So there is Mr. Joseph, Bigfoot Atheist. Welcome. Sandra Piper, Sharon, Uncle Bones, always here. Uncle Bones is always here. And I appreciate that. I do. Grasshopper saying Jen. So Jen must be here. Hello, Miss Jennifer. How's your internet today? We have got John Ayers. Hello, John. The Salt Man. I'm gonna call him the Salt Man. And then we've got Kevin Harder. Hello, welcome. Bat Mom. How are you doing, Miss Tessa? I did see your last text, by the way. I didn't see it till just a little while ago, but I was busy. So I will get back to you. Who else do we got? If I missed you, I am sorry. There's Brian and Chewy. Love them. And Mr. J, got your milkshake? You ready to go, sir? Okay, so we'll get going. Let me bring everything up. So read all about it. These are the questions that I want to answer today. Is that I had this thinking that what kind of articles could I find in the older vintage newspapers about the Wildman or the Hairyman? Because it wouldn't be Bigfoot, okay, because that was termed later. So I couldn't do a search through Bigfoot. There was a couple Sasquatch a little bit later, but for the majority in the 1800s, mid to late 1800s, early 1900s, it was the wild man or the hairy man, the tall man. That's what it was referred to as, the sightings back then. So let me real quick do a audio check. Is everybody hearing me okay? Can I get one thumbs up? I was fooling around again. I just want to make sure you guys can hear me okay. Okay, Jen, thank you. So that's where, the other night I was helping out Erik do a little testing and I'm like, this is really fun. But oh my God, my eyes are killing me because you know how hard it is to read newspaper articles when they are tinted and the lettering's, running together. And it was rough. It was rough, but it was interesting. And I kept doing it. I kept going on with it. And I ended up with some good stuff. About, I think, 12 really good articles that I'm going to read to you. So yes, I'm going to try to read to you. And I'm not the best reader, so you guys have to bear with me. It's about the story, okay? It's all about the actual content of the stories. So the other thing I was thinking was, is this not data, in the search for answers? Or is it just stories? Handed down over time and changed, because every time Do you ever play that game where you get a line of you and you whisper into one person's ear and they have to whisper to the next? And by the time it gets to the end of the line, what happens? You have a marshmallow eating monkey at the end, right? It's something completely different than what you started out with. And we all know that happens a lot in our community. So that's what I was thinking. So I went on the deep dive and I decided to start looking for articles that had the Wildman in them. And to my surprise, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are documented. There are many people who have put out books and websites that have gathered all this information and data in one place. It's just you got to sieve through it. Okay, some of it's not that good, and some of it you can't read, and it's not deciphered very well. So, and Bigfoot, and I'm gonna be, since I'm by myself, I don't have anybody to help me with the chat or anything. So if you want to get my attention, you really today you have to put your questions in caps for me so that I can pick him out faster. I would appreciate that. But you're right, Joe. Yeah, it is data. To me, it is data. It's something there that. Why did they come up with that back in the 1800s? Why would they just make up these stories out of nothing? Maybe there might be some that do that. Yes, Sharon, I did finish Jeff's book finally. Actually, I think I'm on the last chapter. I'm like right near the end. I kept it in my car. I was my reading material while I was waiting for my daughter. So it took me a little bit longer, but it's a very fast read. If you just sit home and read it all, you'll get through it fairly fast. And he has told us the majority of the book already through his podcasts, okay? So, but there is a couple of things in there that are very interesting. I mean, it's all interesting, but there was a couple of things that I didn't know and was nice. It's a good book. Yeah, recommend. It's a good recommendation. So okay. So this is gonna happen because now that I'm getting to do the chat by myself. So let's just get started. And the first one that I have, my sources. Okay, just so that you all know where I got this information from. I did just flat out Google searches for Wildman in vintage newspapers, just like that. And that led me to gonewspapers.com/radio, lancasteronline.newspaper.com, newspaperarchive.com, the track record. It led me to a bunch of different places, and some of them I didn't write down. My apologies. Okay. But it's all information that's right there on your computer, your laptop, your phone. So that's where you can find all this information. And I think I put the links in the description as well. So, but the first one I came up with, and I think I've done this one before because it seemed very familiar to me, was the Winstead Wild Man. The Winstead Wild Man. I have to mark myself off or I'm going to get lost where I'm at here. Okay. So what it says below is one of many newspaper illustrations of the Winstead Wild Man who appeared between 1895 and 1974. As Smith took a few steps forward to see what had so terrified his dog, a tall, naked man covered in long hair exploded from the bushes. And there you have the scene. And this cartoon was played out here in the Winstead Herald for quite a long time. So I wanted to know where it came from. So I went back and I did a little bit of a search on it, and I came up with this. The tale started on August 27th, 1895. I'm already starting off bad here. It's because I see other things behind me. When the Winstead Evening Citizen ran a story, which also ran again the next day in its sister publication, the Winston Herald, claiming that a large man, stark naked and covered with hair all over his body, ran out of the clump of bushes. It was witnessed by town selectman Riley Smith, who was out picking blueberries in the area of Colebrook with his faithful dog, Ned. When the encounter occurred, something had spooked the hound, causing it to whimper and come crawling with its tail between its legs. Moments later, the wild man emerged, cried out, and scrambled off at lightning speed. Both Smith and Ned were paralyzed with fear. A week later, the Herald ran a follow-up story in which Smith described as a man who talks but little and of undoubted pluck and nerve, whose word is first class, provided more detail about the wild man, describing it as a wild, hairy man of the woods, 6 foot in height. That man's hair was black and hung down long on his shoulders, and that his body was thickly covered with black hair. And then this goes on to other appearances. To women in New York claim they saw the large, strange animal standing on its hind legs, possibly a gorilla escaped from some circus. But I guess all the cartoons started to get based off of sightings. And there was another one where a search party of more than 100 men strong and well armed was organized and dispatched. Despite a thorough search, the wily wild man was apparently a step ahead, managing to elude these captures. At one point, the Hartford Sunday Globe speculated that the wild man may have been an escaped mental patient named Arthur Beckwith. Beckwith had repeatedly freed himself from local asylums to wander the countryside au natural and live off the land, never harming anyone but causing a bit of a ruckus. Like so much of the wild man's tale, this was never confirmed. So that is, that picture shows him with an umbrella. I don't know. A lot of these stories, I don't know. We can't confirm if they're true or not. They're just stories. They're just things that have been gathered. And now what happened to my... Jeez. Hey, Flyby, welcome. Now I need another... I don't have no room. I need someplace to put my articles. Okay. So that is the Winston Wild Man. I really don't know why he's carrying an umbrella. So, yeah, you'll have to make up a story for that one, Joe, for sure. I forgot I had that one on there too. That's just the article I read you. That's the beginning of it. That's where I found it at the CT Insider, Connecticut magazine, had the story, and that was back in 2015. So very good. The next one I have is from the Annual Register, 1832, out of Minnesota. Is Jeffrey here? Jeffrey's probably not even here to hear. But some of these stories, I'm not going to read the whole thing because some of them are really long. Some I will. But I'll get just to the good stuff, that we really want to hear. And so this one is American Expedition of Discovery. The expedition set out by an American government in 1820 to 1821 to explore the Rocky Mountains. It was going west. They were headed west. And some of you have heard this story before. Or there's some very similar to this, where many of the travelers who were going from east to west encountered the Rocky Mountains and found it too hard to traverse the mountains in the wintertime. So they ended up having to stay on the east side of the Rockies and try to survive the winter. And they were had all kinds of really bad things happen. I mean, and that's what this case is that towards the head of the Columbia River, which is shown here. I have and then the little picture is the Columbia River running through Washington. Okay. They were overtaken by a storm, this group of explorers, and they were compelled to build houses. Okay. And stay there. They had to stay there for 9 months, 6 of which the sun never rose and the darkness was as great as during our nights, is what it says. Okay. Everything here is what it says. The snow part of the time was 14 feet deep, and the company were compelled to eat 41 of their pack horses to prevent starving, whilst the only food the horses had was birch bark, which the company cut and carried to them by walking on the snow with snowshoes. After crossing, after crossing the mountains, they passed 386 different Indian tribes, some perfectly white, some entirely covered with hair, who were among the most singular and so wild that the company were compelled to run them down with horses. Of the company, 5 died of sickness, 1 by breaking a wild horse, 1 by a fall of a tree, and 15 were killed by the Indians, total 22. 10 of the 19 survivors are lame, and some by accident. So once again, that came out of the Annual Register 1932. Let me check. Any questions? They ate each other. Some ate each other, but they ate all their horses up for sure. For sure. So, and we've heard stories about that, how there were groups that did eat each other, you know? So, what was the year without a summer? Was that the year without a summer? Oh, I don't know. That sounds interesting though. Probably, Kevin. That year was in 1832. 1832. 1816 was that one. Well, this could have been another one. I mean, things go in cycles, right? Could have been a long, hard winter. Wherever they were, I think they were quite north. Washington or Alberta. I think they were quite north. It doesn't say, this article doesn't say their exact location, other than they were at the head of the Columbia River. So if you want to say that, they would most definitely have been, in Alberta, up at the top. I'm thinking, I don't know. It doesn't say. So that's about all the information we have on that one. And that was the Annual Register. And the next one we have was the one I had the hardest reading. It's because I was trying to read that. And I even blew it up. But the more you blow it up, it was horrible. It gets fuzzier even. But I did extract enough of it. So this is, am I in the right? Yeah. The 1939 Huron Reflector, Norwalk, Huron City, Ohio. You know this place, Jen? I don't know this place. So, we're going to go, let me see. The way this one goes is A reporter by the name of Mr. Lincoln came across two carpenters who had been out trying to shoot a group of wolves that had been very troublesome. And they had, during one of their outings to get these wolves, they had come across a huge monster. Okay. So I'll read here. It says the huge monster in the fore branch of the Mississippi, the former of, it's really hard to read, okay? So I'm doing my best here because it's all bunched up. But much and Studer covered with hair in frightful aspect. And Mr. Lincoln was to think lightly of the two men, meaning he didn't really believe their story that they had run into a monster. Okay, is pretty much what it's saying. But he went on and had them tell the whole story. And this is what came of the story. So the wild man crossed their path within 20 rods. I don't know if that's right or not. They immediately gave chase again and accidentally drove the creature from the forest into an open prairie. At length, he suddenly stopped and turned upon the pursuers. Mr. Lincoln was then in advance. So, right, this is when they took him out to go see the area, and then they had the experience. So, fearing that he might attack them or turn into the woods and escape, he fired upon him and lodged a charge of buckshot in the calf of his leg, in the Bigfoot leg, or in the beast, the monster's leg. He fell immediately, and the Indians sprung forward and threw their ropes over his head, arms, and legs, and with much effort succeeded in binding him fast. He struggled, however, most desperately, gnashed his teeth, and howled in a frightful manner. They then formed a short sort of litter of branches, of limbs, and trees, and placed him upon it, carrying him to the encampment. A watch was then placed over him, and every effort was made that could be devised to keep him quiet. But he continued to bowl most pitifully all night. Towards morning, two cubs, about 3 feet high and very similar to the large monster, came into the camp, and they were taken without resistance. As soon as the monster saw them, he became very ferocious, showed his teeth, hollowed, and thrashed about until he burst several of the cords and came very near effecting his escape. But he was bound, and after, I can't see what that word is, kept most carefully watched and guarded. The next day he was placed on the litter and carried down to the mills on St. Peter's, which is I'm showing there. That's the St. Peter's, Missouri. And the little dot shows where in Missouri it's located, but this is the area supposedly it all happened. It says that for his appearance, he had a coat of hair, then he had a thinner coat of hair on his body, and there was no appearance of eyebrows or nose. The mouth is very large and wide and similar to that of a baboon. His eyes are dull and heavy, and there is no indication of, I don't know, it's all jumbled together, activity about them. Mr. Lincoln says he is beyond dispute carnivorous, as he usually rejects bread and vegetables and eats flesh with a great avidity, AVIDITY. He thinks he is of the, oh my gosh, that's all jumbled. Sorry. Inclined to consider him a wild animal, somewhat resembling a man. And then down here it says, he is quite tame and quiet, and he is only confused by a stout, he's only confined with a stout chain attached to his legs. It is Mr. Lincoln's intention to submit those animals to the inspection of the scientific for a few days in order to ascertain what they are, and after that to dispose of them to some person for exhibition. Mr. Lincoln himself will return to St. Peter's in the course of 2 or 3 weeks. So, sorry, those sections were really blurry. But anyway, still, they're talking about getting it to scientists, putting it on display later, and how it struggled in the beginning, but now it doesn't. So let me see what we got in the chat. Any questions? I don't see any. Okay. So that's the 1939 Huron Reflector. Go to the next one. The next one is the Petersburg Index of 1871. In 1871. So this one, which one is this one? Well, I'll just have to read because I can't remember. I've got too many of them. So this was again in 1871. And it's stated, the Daily Index, Saturday, April 29th, 1871. The Wild Man, what is he? From the New York Times. So the Index took an article from the New York Times. I kept finding a lot of that situation too, where different, newspapers were picking up different stories, and both ways. The bigger one taking the smaller town stories, and the smaller town stories taking the bigger ones. I found it both ways. So in this one, it says, as most of our readers are probably aware, there's at present roaming over the United States, and for aught we know, making occasional excursions into British America and Mexico, a singular creature known as the Wild Man. We have become more, we have before commented on him, which are many and various. At regular intervals of time, he appears in different parts of the country, creating always great excitement in the neighborhood and a vast deal of discussion in the local press. And it goes on just to talk about nothing really. And then down here, it'll say, or he may have the power. Oh, this is the one that is kind of wooey. This is the wooey one. So here, listen to this. Or he may have the power of extending or contracting himself at will. This would be so strange as the faculty which gives rise to the exception above referred to of changing his sex, so that after horrifying Alabama as a wild woman, he will immediately plunge Oregon into consideration as a wild man. See how difficult it is to read? It's because the language, physically trying to read this paper, and the language is different. That's different time. But it's pretty much saying that Bigfoot is one Bigfoot Okay. And the only way they can explain him being in one story in one place and being seen in another one is that he can change his sex and from female to male whenever he wants. And then it states he is superior to time and space. He thinks nothing of being seen simultaneously at points hundreds of miles apart. Quite as extraordinary is his peculiar power of eluding capture. Usually, all the able bodied inhabitants of the district turn out in mass to hunt him with guns and dogs, but we have never heard of him being taken. After keeping up this game of hide and seek in one locality for a few days, he departs for another with the same result. In all his wanderings, however, it is observable that he takes aloof from the settlements, conflicting himself. Conflicting? I don't know. For the most part, to the whole order of civilization. I don't get that, but then down here it says, we have been led to return to this subject by the recent appearances at once of the real and bogus Wildman in Tennessee and Michigan, respectively. The Michigan monster is in some respects credibly prepared and shows ingenuity in its deceive. I don't know. To begin with, it is fearfully deformed, a sufficiently obvious trick, but still effective. Then its hands are covered with long, coarse hair, face grows full of rank whiskers, while its eyes look like those of a wolf. These details, it must have admitted, show skillful handling, and only a practiced eye could detect the deception. But the one infallible test of the true wild man is here wanting: his defiance of pursuit. Okay. If his more than mortal it's all jumbled. If his more than mortal speed fails to outstrip his would be captured. He would be captured. Hard to read. It's hard to read. Because I'm reading off of like a thing. So that's the story from Petersburg Index. And that is out of Petersburg, Virginia, which I showed the picture there. Right, Val? I was surprised when reading it, and it was just flat out saying, that he could just take himself from one place to another. So I was like, whoa. And that he could change his sex whenever he wanted to. So that is the next one. We have got next the Times, the 1883 Times, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, from the Bellevue Sun out of Idaho. This is one of those ones that was picked up by another one and shown by another one. So hence all the names up there. And this one is a good one, and I'm going to try to read it all because it was a good one. And this one I can kind of see, though. So this is called The Wild Men of Camas. I'm going to say Camas. A creature with rabbit skin robe and sagebrush bed slain in Idaho. From the Bellevue Sun. The celebrated Wildman of the Camas Prairie was killed recently by some parties traveling through the prairie. While the travelers were camped in the foothills on the edge of the prairie, One of them, named McElhaney, went a few hundred yards from the camp to kill some ducks, taking with him a shotgun loaded with large shot. Then, only a couple of hundred yards from camp, the wild man of Camas jumped up from his hiding place and, after running a short distance, stopped and looked at McElhaney through his large, clear eyes for a moment. Then, with a shriek that struck terror to the hunter and caused him to shudder as the echo resounded through the forest, the man, with the ferocity of a savage beast of the jungle, made for McElhaney so fiercely that, in order to ensure his own safety, he emptied both barrels of the gun into him, when he fell apparently dead. So, wow. Because Nikki's show, Bigfoot can change their sex, right? I didn't write it, dude. McElhaney went to him when the strange being began to revive, and he put his foot on the man's neck and called to his comrades to bring an axe, which they did with all possible haste. The man escaped just as they arrived, and with a pitiful moan regained his feet and started to run. The axe was thrown at him, and as he turned his head to look back, it struck him in the center of the forehead, and he dropped lifeless to the ground. Can you see that? Crazy, just crazy. On examination, he was found to be rather tall, with full, clear eyes and an extraordinarily large head. Appeared to be about 45 years of age, although not a gray hair could be seen. The wavy black hair of his head hung low onto his body, and his bushy beard was about 2.5 feet long. The body was also covered with a thick growth of hair about 2 inches in length. This was also black and very fine. The finger and toenails were 2 inches long and resembled claws more than nails. He was wrapped in a long robe made by rabbit skins. The skins were sewn together by sinews. On examining the place from which he made his appearance, it was found that he had a very comfortable bed, which was made of the soft bark of sagebrush. It was under an overhanging rock and well protected from the wind. Near the bed were 2 rabbits, which he had most likely killed by stones. About 10 years ago, an insane stage driver. An insane stage driver. I can't say that 10 times fast. Left Boise City and was never since seen or heard of again. The wild man of Camas may be the same, and having taken up his abode in the desolate prairie, but visited by white man, but seldom visited by white man. The end is shaky. The wild man of Camas has since first seen in 1873. So they first started talking about the wild man of Camas in 1873, and this article was in 1883. So they believe that this stagecoach driver, was actually this guy. But you don't get that revealed till the very end. But still a good story. Still. I'm going to grab the link. I still have a couple more here. I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat. So if anybody wants to join me, they can. I still have like a few. So I'm going to mark these off. That is the Wildman. Now we have the queer family. So this one is out of the Bear Lake Democratic Parish, Idaho in 1883. But actually, the story kind of takes place in Louisiana. Okay. It mentions many different places in this article, and I only picked out certain things to talk about on this one because it kind of goes all over the place. But in this one, it's talking about three gentlemen who Rosengay, Vandal, and Strong, who had been traveling through portions of Florida and Alabama and Mississippi because they were part of, let me see if I can find right here, which they were had been formed by them in Minnesota for the purpose of buying immense tracts of land in the South and forming a complete system of sawmills, which to flourish the lumber for the world, furnish lumber for the world. That word is all messed up. But more especially for shipments into Mexico. So they were guys just out buying land all over for these mills. Well, apparently these gentlemen ran into something. So here, upon several occasions, Crazy Alex had told them a story concerning a woman and some bears. They ran into this guy. He's telling them a story. And the story goes where they were out looking at some yards, some acreage, and they looked over, and seated on the trunk of a fallen tree was a dilapidated looking specimen of a female humanity, whose small bit of clothing was naught but rage, and whose hair hung about her shoulders in a tangled mass. She was apparently about 60 years of age, was of medium stature, and dark, as though from long exposure to the sun and weather. Nearby were her three of the most hideous objects one could imagine, evidently playing, and she seemed to be watching them attentively. To describe these three objects, you could not call them human, is very difficult. Their heads were shaped like human beings, the tops, ears, eyes, and neck being perfect, but the mouth and nose coming towards broad and thick, more on the order of a bear. The arms resembled perfectly those of a man, but from the waist down, they bore the shape of a resemblance of a bear. Covered entirely with long, coarse black hair. The feet were also similar to those of a bear, being flat and seemingly armed with immense claws. For more time, we watched them with mute astonishment as they wrestled and played, now dancing erect as a biped, but then on all fours as a quadruped, and now and then giving vent to their horrible laughter. How long this would have continued, we do not know, but just then that's cut off. Strong, one of the gentlemen, let his astonishment get the better of him, and his discretion and his position gave off, partially exposing himself to the view, and at that moment in time, made a noise. The she noticed. So she noticed Strong for uttering a cry of alarm. She started through the undergrowth on the other side of the opening and sped off like a deer, closely followed by the three queer looking creatures running on all fours. And then it says, the next day, in company of several gentlemen, we scoured the section thoroughly to find them again, and they did not. I have traveled far, says Mr. Yandel, and don't know what that word is. Many wonderful things. I have seen many wonderful things. This human bear family, as I call them, surpasses my experiences heretofore. So he's calling them a bear family. A mom and three babies, or three, whatever you want to call them. What do you guys think of that? The queer family. That's what it's called. I don't know. Rougarou. I don't think they were dogs. They were bears. They were something. It's kind of a wild story. I mean, I don't know. You just have to take the stories for what they're worth, you know. Could they? Yeah, they could make up the whole thing just for an article, you know, to sell those days. But interesting nonetheless. Nonetheless, very interesting. Let's see the next one. We've got. I'm gonna go ahead and bring in a guest. If I can find it. Hello, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm enjoying the show. I just popped in to say one thing, and I'm just going to be quiet and listen the rest of the time. But to your first thing that you brought up, see, this is all of this, whether any of these stories are true or not, and some of them may be, it's all data. In that, it shows you how long these kind of things have been talked about and reported this whole time about people seeing and running into big,
Right.
hairy creatures in the forest. So it's still data, even if some of the stories are just made up.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, everything counts somehow, you know. Maybe not all of it should go public, but in the
Right.
grand scheme of things, later on, it could be really valuable. I'm not saying right now, but you know, all those things people are claiming, maybe something later. So, but yeah, so I'm gonna get on to the next one, which is Daily Advocate, 1883, out of the Daily Advocate, Newark Advocate, a Kentucky Wild Man. So this one is Kentucky, okay, but it's out of the New Jersey paper. So what you see there is Paducah, Kentucky, Lizard Rock, and where it's located in the state. And because will be part of the story, you'll see. So a man covered with thick hair who refuses bread but voraciously eats meat and relishes fruit. Among the passengers the other night, bound for New York from the west, on the day express was a wild man who occupied a seat in smoking car number 158. He was accompanied by James Harvey and Raymond Boyd, his captors, both of whom belong in Paducah County, Kentucky. They had 3 second-class tickets to New York, which privileges them to 3 seats in the smoking car of any first-class train. They were on their way to Bridgeport, Connecticut to make arrangements with P.T. Barnum to exhibit their prize in conjunction with his circus. So when the day express arrived at the Broad Street station, James Harvey ran down the platform into the restaurant and purchased a box of sardines and some sandwiches for the wild man's supper. His companion remained in the smoker in charge of the wild man. He was dressed in citizen's dress and wore big cloth shoes. His hair reaches nearly to his waist and falls over his shoulders, completely covering his back. His beard is long and thick, while his eyebrows are much heavier than those of an ordinary human being. There is nothing imbecile about the wild man's manners or actions. He cannot talk and seldom makes a sound whatever except a low howl like a leopard. His actions are as much like those of a hyena in a zoological garden as it is possible for anything in human form to be. Raymond Boyd, who seemed to have perfect control over the wild man, said the body was covered with coarse brown hair as thick as the hair of a horse's hide. The palms of his hands looked like the paws of a bear, and his fingernails, which were over an inch long, resembled the claws of an eagle. He was first seen in Paducah County 13 years ago and was known as Mum the Hermit because whenever anyone asked him, all he would say was mum's the word. So is this just a dude, if he can talk? It's just a guy, a hermit, truly.
Yeah.
That they're putting him out there.
Yeah. Look, we found this old lonely dude out in the woods, man. We're
Gonna
gonna
sell him to
display
P.T. Barnum. So they said here finally what they found his abandoned hut in a cave under a ledge of rocks known as Lizard Rock. So I went and I did a search and I found Lizard Rock. So you're looking at Lizard Rock right there. So there does exist. Boyd and Harvey built a man trap for him over 3 weeks ago and placed a big piece of freshly killed beef in it. They watched the trap for 3 days before he entered it. He was not afraid of any bird or beast of prey, but ran terrified away from any human beings who approached him. And the rest is just not much. So that's the general story of Mum the
Yeah.
Hermit, which
Yeah, it
turned out
does. It really, it could be a true story, but somebody in the Jen said P.T. Barnum is probably fake. I mean, it could be a true story about how they found him, or it could be one just made up by P.T. Barnum if he ever was in the
for
P.T. Barnum thing. Yeah, yeah.
advertising type of thing.
Sounds like if any of it's true, he was just this old crazy old lonely hermit out in the wild that didn't want to be around people.
Yeah, right. Which is this one? Why do I just have one? Did this go with this? Oh, it did go to this. The very end I had marked. What does it say? Yeah. Exhibiting their prize themselves as soon as they can extensively advertise him beginning in New York City sometime in May. And it says something Long Island I can read, but the very end is washed out. So I don't know. They're talking about where they're going to be at and stuff. So kind of, I don't know. I think they did. They just had a dude and they were going to try to sell him.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, let's capture this old hermit. Make him work for P.T. Barnum.
Right? Okay, where are we at? Oh. We are at 1895 Intelligencer Journal, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. That's number 12.
Well, that says Rattlesnake Hill.
Yes. Do you know that place?
I do. It's not too far from here, actually. I used to play there all the time when I was a kid.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, that's where this is taking place. July 30th, 1895. Wild man in the woods. When he gets hungry, he comes to farmhouses and takes away cows, pigs, and sheep. A wild man is loose in the woods at Hancock, New York. A party of hunters have just returned from Port Jervis, where they went for guns and ammunitions with which to slay him. But the question has been arisen whether they have the right to kill a wild man. Some of the hunters argue that it would be murder. Others say it wouldn't be, but that wild men are protected by game laws. His life will probably be spared until legal advice has been taken, unless some impetuous woodsman slay him. Impertinence, probably. I don't know. Slay him and then waits for a ruling. The first farmer had the presence of the wild man was the disappearance of cows, young cattle, and sheep. They at first thought that a bear had taken them. John Cook, a farmer, heard a terrible ruckus in his piggery the other night and believed that pigs had been upset. A beehive placed temporarily in their sty. He ran out. What? As he stepped into the shed, he was grabbed by the wild man. The fellow looked 7 feet high and was quite naked. He was a hairy man and wore a beard as long as a Western free silver man's. Free silver man? Have you heard of free silver man?
No.
From his mouth protruded big teeth like fangs. So the farmer Cook is 6'3" and very powerful, but he was helpless in the grasp of the wild man, who carried him to the door and hurled him 30 feet. Whoa. The farmer fell unconscious. When he woke up, he found himself lame and bruised. His best pig was gone. A crowbar lay on the ground, tied into knots. Farmer Cook says the wild man did this to show his annoyance at being interrupted. The next night, Peter Thomas was driving near Dead Man's Lane when he met the wild man. Thomas says he looked like an ape. And then a little bit later, it says the lair of the wild man was found on February, but he was not home. Berry pickers discovered it in the woods near Rattlesnake Hill. Some say the wild man is an escaped chimpanzee or gorilla, but a member of the New York Vegetarian Association who is boarding at Port Jervis says monkeys don't eat meat.
Well, yeah, chimpanzees do eat meat, and actually, gorillas are mostly vegetarians, but they'll eat things like grubs and stuff like that too. But yeah, Rattlesnake Hill. Wow, brings back memories. Um, I don't know if that thing was 7 foot tall. Isn't that what you said it was in there?
Yeah. He
description was
said it was 7 foot because he was 6'3",
3.
and it
Yeah,
was
so
bigger and taller than him.
I don't know. I mean, if this is any truth to this story, I mean, I would think that 7 foot tall is probably a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch. I don't know about the sharp fangs. That may have been an embellishment. I can't say because, like in my own encounter, I
Right.
never saw the freaking teeth because he never opened his mouth. But yeah, I mean
Right.
that could have been a Bigfoot. There's some reports that still have come from around that area in New York. I had them mapped, or yeah, I had them mapped on my big New York State map, Rattlesnake Hill. And you see that side in the picture that's facing you where the cliffs are and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's the side where you'll find the rattlesnakes, actually.
Mm.
On the other side, it's not cliffs, it's more of a hill, you know? So on the other
Yeah.
side of the hill, you don't really run into the rattlesnakes until you get over towards the area where those cliffs are.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Because you have to read through it to get the information, Otherwise, I just have the little picture of the article. But
Yeah,
I like the visual part of it because it kind of gives you an idea of where they're talking about. And then some of the stories, I like this one, I was able to find a Rattlesnake Hill. And like the last one, I was able to find the Lizard Rock.
yeah.
So there is some truth to some of the
Uh,
stories.
Who knows? I mean, it could have been. I mean, that guy could have been so scared that, sometimes, people, exaggerate things just because they're scared. Maybe that's what he actually thought he was sick, right? I mean, I don't automatically dismiss this one as just somebody making something up. I mean, it could be,
Right.
for all I know, but I don't know. It sounds like it's conceivable. The thing was after his pigs or whatever.
Yeah,
Um,
it's as good and is a good enough story as any of the others, but
yeah,
at least it's seems more along the line of a Bigfoot than just a man, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
It
I,
seems
you know, and I met a farmer here. Who, like, again, I don't know whether he was just having me on or what, but he seemed sincere. Where he said he knew about these things, and because they would come into his fields and steal his corn,
mm,
and so he started leaving big bushel baskets at the edge of the field, and I guess that kept them out of the field itself. I guess they would just take, and I was like, okay, cool, So I mean, could be.
I don't know. We don't know. But it was interesting. It was a cool story. So next we have the 1935 the Hammond Times out of Vancouver, BC. So let me pull this one over here. And it says reports tell of Canadian monster men. Settles 50 miles from Vancouver describe hairy giants. The Vancouver, BC. Sasquatch men, remnants of the lost race of wildmen who inhabited the rocky regions of British Columbia centuries ago, are reported roaming the province again. After an absence of several months from the district of Harrison Mills, 50 miles east of Vancouver, the long, weird, wolf like howls of the wild men are being heard again, and two of the hairy monsters were reported seen in the Morris Valley on the Harrison River, which I have pictured there. Um, and I mean, this is, Thomas's stomping grounds right here. So residents in the district tell of seeing two giants leaping and bounding out of the forest and striding across the duck feeding ground, wallowing now and then in the bog and mire and long waving swamp grasses. Reports as goats. The strange men, it was reported, after emerging from the woods, came leaping down the jagged, rocky hillside. Oh, hillside. It see there, it's all mixed up. Okay, rocky hillside with the agility and lightness of mountain goats. Snatches of their weird language floated on the breeze across the lake to the pioneer settlement in the foothills. The giants walked with easy gait across the swamp flats and at the Morse Creek in the shadow of Little Mystery Mountain, which I've got there too, Little Mystery Mountain. Straddled a floating log, which they propelled with their long, hairy hands. Then it says they abandoned the log and climbed hand over hand up the almost perpendicular cliff at the point known as Gibraltar and disappeared at the top of the ridge. They carried two large clubs on and walked around a herd of cattle directly in their path. And then there's a little section that says Indian story retold. The return of the giants to the legendary stronghold of the Sasquatch monsters recalls the narrow spot last March. A huge rock narrowly missed the canoe while he was fishing, and looking up, he saw a huge and hairy monster stamping his feet and gesticulating wildly. The Indian escaped by cutting his fishing tackle and paddling away. The same Indian declares the Sasquatch twice have stolen salmon, which he tied outside his house out of reach of the dogs. The latest appearance of the monster was peaceful. They avoided the trails usually used by the people of the valley and molested neither cattle nor humans. People have been reported seeing these giants on their rare appearances, described them as ferocious-looking wild men, 9 feet tall and covered with head to toe with thick black hair. And that's
Wow.
that article.
You know, I got to make a confession here now. Well, for a long time, you know, and I'm not saying that this article is proof of it, but you know, I've always been skeptical about this recordings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that none of them could be Sasquatch, but it hasn't been proven. But the thing about the language, man, you know, now as far back as when was this? 1880 something?
1935 was this story.
Okay, 1935. Well, that's still
Yeah.
a good ways ago. So it shows me that the idea isn't just something new that somebody came up with. Because that one part where you're reading the story and they said they're weird language or whatever.
Oh, right.
So the idea that Sasquatch or Bigfoot have a language isn't a new one. It's an old one. I'd
Well,
never
in
heard
many
that
of these
referred
stories,
to. I'd
right.
never heard of it referred to in any older accounts except for what you just read. So, and I'm not saying all of a sudden, oh my God, I believe all these um, samurai chatter ones, but it makes
Yeah.
me rethink. You know, I mean, it's not an old idea, so
It did say Sasquatch, grasshopper. This is the first one that said Sasquatch. Right? Was it this one? Yes, right here, right at the beginning. Sasquatch men. It called them Sasquatch men, and that was 1935 in British Columbia. You always hear him, Thomas, talking about Harrison Hot Springs and this whole little area, you know.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's that same. I don't know. This is Morris Valley.
Huh.
Um,
I would
Morse
like to
Creek.
hear some of this weird language myself out in the woods.
So I liked that one. I did. I liked that one. Let me mark it off. Okay. We got two more. Two more to go. Okay. This one is the 1908 Stephenport, Wisconsin. Doesn't say the name of the. It just said Stevens Point, Wisconsin. So this is captured a wild man. Curious find recently made at Bellevue, North Dakota. There, nothing in North Dakota. Look at that picture. Nothing. Nothing there. The journal is in Where's Jeff? He'll probably be like, that's not true. That's just a little part. I know. I'm just joking. The journal is in receipt of a clipping from Bellevue, North Dakota paper from J. Thomas, who was formerly a resident of Keene, a son of Mrs. John Thomas, who still lives in Keene. It relates to the discovery of an alleged wild man near Bellevue, not far from Mr. Thomas's home. It is stated for 3 years there have been rumors of this wild man being seen by persons of veracity, but he had never been encountered at close range until a few days ago, when 2 cattlemen who were out hunting suddenly came upon him face to face as he emerged from the thicket of brush. One of them succeeded in throwing a lasso around him, and before he could escape, he was dragged to a tree and bound round and round with the lasso. Later, he was bound hand and foot and carried to town on a dray, where he was imprisoned in a basement. His only clothing was a loin girdle of sheepskin tied with a binder twine. He had not been shaved or had a hair cut in years, and being a man of extremely hairy variety, he presented a very grotesque and wild appearance. His eye teeth are reportedly to be unnaturally elongated in the form of tusks. He refused to talk or eat anything, but drank water like a horse, half a pail at a time. The singular part of it is that this man has always been seen within 2 miles of the village of Bellevue. That's the whole story right there. So I don't know. There's like parts where I think it's just a dude out there, another wild man. But having the long teeth and stuff, I don't know. So that was out of Bellevue. Let's see. Now we've got. Wow, it's already 6:13. So the next one was the last one I have actually in this storyline. It comes from the Hammond Times, Monday, August 6th. That's not the right one. That one. Nope. Yeah, it is. I cut off the top on my paper here. It looks different. Hammond Times in 1937. The Twin City News. Sounds like a bear yarn. Bear yarn. Did they mean yawn and they didn't spell it right?
No, they mean tail as in a yarn.
A yarn is called a
Yeah,
tale?
yeah,
Is
it's
it?
also like a story. A yarn. You spin a yarn, you spin a tail.
Never heard of that
Yeah,
ever.
it's an old fashioned word us old codgers used to
Oh,
use.
wow. Okay, so Boonesville, Indiana, which I have pictured there, says they're looking for a hairy ape near here today after a monster has terrorized this community. Persons living near Cypress Beach in a few miles south of here have told tales of encountering a giant beast which specializes in blood-curdling screams in the middle of the night and leaves footprints larger than a human's. Ralph Duff, a fisherman, first reported the animal about a year ago after the police dog was torn to shreds in an encounter with the beast. This weekend, Mrs. Duff said she heard a terrifying howl late in the night and saw a tower monster larger than a bear. When she screamed, the beast ran away. Duff believes that the animal is a huge ape which lives in one of the caves along the river and has a set number of bear and has set a number of bear traps. So when I was looking into where this was, it mentioned Cypress Beach. And the only Cypress Beach I could find was in Florida. But they do have beaches there in that area called Scales Lake Beach. So I don't know if this could possibly be, just a name change over time and it's been changed, or it's another area of there. It just wasn't listed because it's such a smaller area. Unless somebody who's listening knows, but I didn't. I don't know that area, so it. I just think it's a changed name. TV shows, yarn. Yarn is used throughout those mediums. No, not a whole lot. I haven't watched. My dad loved a bunch of cowboy movies, so I tend not to watch them. I like them. They're okay. It's okay. Nope. Never heard of it, though. For sure. I thought it was a typo.
Well, now you have a new word to put into your
Yeah.
vocabulary.
I have a new word. I'm like, I think they mean yawn. So, what'd you think of those stories? Articles.
Um, Pretty cool. Pretty cool.
I'm a whippersnapper. John says I'm a whippersnapper.
Yeah, you whippersnapper.
Yeah. um, I liked them. They were just extremely hard to read. And like I said, the more you blew them up, the more they got fuzzy.
Yeah,
So my eyes were like, I already have horrible eyesight. So it was, some of them were really difficult to read for me. Um, I must have done copies like 3 or 4 times just to try to get them clarified better. They seemed good on there, but once I transferred stuff, it just didn't come out right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. It was
but
cool
anyway,
that it was that was cool that I found a reference to Sasquatch, or well, you did. I heard it. You found it. Reference to Sasquatch having a weird language. That was
hmm,
interesting.
yeah, there's little bits that I found through all the articles that we always talk about. Well, the whole shooting them issue, and that was in one of the articles.
Yeah,
If we shoot them, is there going to be consequences? Is it a man? Is it going to be murder? Is it? And that was mentioned in one of them. And then, of course, um, like you said, the sounds they're making, or the gibberish sounds, or language, possible language, that was mentioned. Um, Smell, them smelling, or oh, in several of the articles, it mentioned them wallowing in mud.
oh yeah, yeah,
That was something. Um, so there's some similarities. Now, whether it was taken from one, like how we read things and then things get exaggerated. Some
yeah,
people exaggerate. That probably happened too,
yeah,
and it's like many of the stories, some of the stories were handed down from different the same I found the same story in like two different places.
hmm,
So most of them all East Coast. Okay, everything I was finding seemed to be right Mississippi east,
yeah,
except for the one in Washington. There was the one in Washington, and then the one in Canada, the
yeah,
British Columbia one. But a lot of the stories kind of lingered around the Mississippi area and Ohio.
yeah. And a couple of them there to me was quite obvious that if they're true, they weren't dealing with like Sasquatch or Bigfoot. They were actually probably feral humans. Sounded like.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. You're absolutely right. And I did pick and choose. There was, several that I didn't use They were too long. You really had to it was hard to understand the context and why are they even mentioning this type of thing. And
Yeah.
so I just went on and got other ones, shorter ones that I could do, ones that would only take my show an hour and 15, because that's what I normally do. If any of you notice, is that my first segment part, my main part of the show is about an hour and 15, hour and a half long. And then I do my other stuff, my second part of my show.
Yeah.
So that's why, I limited it to these 15, 15, no, 13. 13, 12, I don't know, 12 or 13 articles, because I figured that would take me right up to right now. And, um, it's good. It was good. It was fun. It was nice hearing the stories. And I think I had heard of one or two of those before. So, definitely it was interesting. It was interesting. But you guys, it's time.
Show me what you got.
Jim, you heard them said, show me what you got.
Show me what you got. I want to see what you got. Oh boy.
Oh boy, it is time for Show Me What You Got. And this is what I got for this week. This first one, not a whole lot of information on it, just a foot in the mud. Can you
That looks
identify
familiar
that one?
for some reason, like I've just seen that somewhere or something.
Yeah, no, it's been
Don't
this week.
remember.
It was something. Let me move this back up here so I can see everybody. So, it just says a small footprint while walking near Deer Creek in Maryland, and says notice the length of the toes. So one thing we always talk about is the people who wear those toe shoes,
Mm-hmm.
and those kind of do that, the long toe like. But I've also seen, she also mentioned there's nothing in there to really give it length except for those little um, seed pod thingies that are
Yeah.
hanging there. And those are about that big. They usually run about
Mm-hmm.
that big. So it's not that big of a foot. Could it be the back end of a, I don't know, raccoon or a
Yeah,
rat?
it almost looks like it could be something like a raccoon, maybe.
And plus the very tips kind of cut off, so you can't tell if there's any nails,
Yeah.
or
Well, it's
anything.
definitely not a bear track.
Poop
Not
in the
like
heel? Is that poop in the heel? Is it poop? No, I think it's a rock.
I thought that same thing myself when I first saw it, Nikki, is that like a turd in there? Like,
If it's a
did a
turd,
dog
then
take a
I don't know.
crap in it or
It
something?
was taking a crap when it put its foot there.
Yeah.
It does, but I think it's a rock. I don't know. Good question. Don't know. There's not any information. People just post just to see what people are going to
Yeah.
say. So John Ayers says, depending on the size, could be a rear foot of a raccoon.
Yeah,
I,
that's what I
I,
meant. Yeah,
I
that's
thought it
a
was a
raccoon
raccoon.
foot. Because raccoons
Of
are their
course,
front
you don't
paws.
see all the other prints that would probably
Yeah,
identify it that
yeah,
they
just
left
that one.
out.
Yeah.
Because if that area is all muddy like that, you got
There's
at
probably
least,
more. Yeah.
there's one
And there
more.
might even be the front paw, which on a raccoon does look like a little hand. I mean, it's like a little hand on
Yeah.
the front paws, but
Yeah,
their
they're kind
rear
of creepy.
paws do look like kind of like that.
Yeah. So, correct, Donald's, in my opinion as well. It's a nothing burger. It's just an interesting track. Now that would make an excellent uh casting, though.
Oh, absolutely, man! You'd have a
Yeah,
beautiful
yeah.
casting of raccoon foot.
And that's what I would do if I did that. If I went out and did that,
It
I would track just tracks. I would just want a bunch of animal tracks.
well, it's good practice.
you know? Yeah.
It's good practice. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that is the footprint. We'll go on to the next. Some of you guys have probably seen this going around too. It's going around the groups. And all that was said was giant near tree near shed or something like that. And that was it. But the background, which I cut off by accident, I should have put it in there so you could see it. This photo was taken off of a TV. Okay. And I think this was off of either Alaska Monsters.
Yeah.
Or I think it was Alaska Monsters. You know, they do the reenactment part and they show blah, blah, blah. That's what I think this is. But I did not have time to go look for this. So, but it is my opinion. It was definitely a picture off of a screen and it looked like a big TV. So yeah, I'm pretty sure they just took it off of one of those shows and said it's real. But those are reenactments, people. It's all movie. It's all made for entertainment. Out of and the thing said Perry County, Ohio, but I don't think that's right. Okay, the next one. This is another thing that's been going around, and I know a lot of you has started seeing this AI art that is going around. And it's beautiful. It's really awesome. I think it looks totally cool.
I love that the Bigfoot has a walking stick, man. I love it.
I love it. I love all of it, right? And there are people who believe it.
Yeah,
okay?
of
There
course
are
it
people
is.
who make comments thinking, wow, where did you find these? These are amazing. And, you know, I knew they existed.
Yeah.
But it is AI. Remember, we keep saying it over and over. It's getting better and better. People are learning how to use it and how to use Photoshop better and to create these things. But I wanted to know where it came from, where these were coming from. So did a little bit deeper, and it turns out it is from an Instagram page. I guess you call it a page, called the AI Experiment. And I am actually going to show you that right now. And I can't make this any bigger. I tried. But look at some of these. I'll tell you my favorite ones coming up. I think it started on it. I like that one too. Oh, do I have to push it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. It does look cool though. Anyway. That one looks like a movie. Oh, it's the troll. Anyway.
Yeah, man, the craziness has just begun.
Right. So Abraham Lincoln Squatch. Yeah. Oh. Experts, big things to come from AI experiment. Yep, for sure. So that's experiment. And then we have this doozy here. So what you have is you had this picture and then nobody was seeing anything. So they put the next picture with the circles. Okay. And people were still not knowing really what it is. But the comment was baby butt cheeks was what was listed on it. Okay. And I'm like, baby butt cheeks.
Pareidolia doesn't even suggest that to me.
So again, and then they zoomed in, and now I know what they were talking about. See on that middle picture, that branch has like a middle. It looks like two butts and the crack in the middle. That the butt cheeks wiped the moss off the limb. That's what they're
Okay.
calling baby butt cheeks.
Oh, right. Okay. And
You see what I'm saying?
they arrived at this conclusion how?
I don't know. Uh, okay. I don't even know if I want to read all this. It's out there. Okay. These are out there, but
That's hilarious.
it was a whole story that it's a great place for them to sit and eat their lunch. So, but anyway, if you look at it says, look at the log, you can see a print, but most amazing thing is the log. It had moss on it, but where the little one sat had rubbed the moss off where he sat. I don't know, maybe.
What? No, not even maybe, Nikki. Did they witness this little baby
No,
whatever
no,
on the
just
thing
witness.
rubbing this off? Or
Um,
come on, man.
no, there's nothing.
All right. All right. There was a baby Bigfoot there and it rubbed it off his butt cheeks. I believe
Yeah. So I'm just sharing what's out there. Okay. I'm just
it. That's
sharing.
funny.
Just sharing.
Oh,
Baby
I see it
butt-
already.
I just loved baby butt cheeks. That's all.
Yeah, baby butt cheeks. Baby piece of
as
butt cheeks.
as Brent Dill would say, oh, that's adorable.
That's adorable, yeah.
That's adorable. Okay. So this one does have a little helper up there. Do I have a paper on that? I don't. Okay. So this is the Maui skunk ape. We finally have a picture of the Hawaiian Bigfoot. Do you see it? We
I
circled
see
it.
it. I see it. It's right there. He wouldn't even have to circle. I could pick that Bigfoot out.
Yep. So, okay. Yeah, I did. I zoomed in for you. Keep calm, everybody. So a tourist shot a photo of the Maui skunk ape, aka Hawaiian Bigfoot, along the road to Hana the other day. The Florida family said that the stench was that of rotten eggs and day-old wet socks. It looks like it had caught a mongoose for a snack. It was really quite a mellow creature. It almost looked as though it was posing and showing off its catch. It disappeared into the jungle. Quite magical experience.
So that inset is supposed to be the face, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's definitely not pareidolia. That's a real face of something. Now, I'm not saying it's this Maui whatever, but that's something that's standing there. I can't call that like pareidolia bushes because that's not bushes.
Can you see? I definitely see like something of
And
creature.
it
I
could
don't know
be
if it was a
somebody in
mongoose.
a costume maybe, but
Right.
I
Yeah,
mean,
it could be.
there's definitely something standing there with a face. That is a face and hair and everything else.
Yeah, it's either a Bigfoot or it's a person in a suit.
Right. I mean,
There's
yeah.
something there. And it is holding, I can't tell what it's holding. It kind of looked like a little, maybe a rabbit or something. I don't know. It said mongoose, but a mongoose doesn't look like that. I should
Yeah.
have had to zoom in on that, but 24. Oh wait, I do have one more. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. That's got to be a person in costume. I mean, it's to me, it's not. I mean, I don't classify it. If it is pareidolia, then wow, it's great pareidolia. Because
No, that
usually
can't be
pareidolia
pareidolia.
is
I don't see pareidolia in
no,
this one,
I
and
don't.
I do on a lot of them. I call pareidolia, but
So either that's a real
there's
thing
something
in
there.
yeah, that's either a real thing in Maui running around, or it's somebody in a costume. But there's definitely something there with a face and hair and all that.
Kevin Harder says it's a Maui Yowie.
Maui Yowie. There you go. That's perfect, man.
They named
Maui
that
Yowie.
dog. I liked Maui Yowie.
Maui Yowie. That's it. You win the internet.
You win. Today you win, Kevin. Uh, yeah, I know there are mongooses in Hawaii. I just don't think that thing he's holding is a mongoose.
Yeah, I can't tell.
The arms don't look right, whatever
I
it
mean,
is.
we don't have mongoose here. I mean, I've seen
He's
pictures
holding a
of them.
dog.
But
Maybe it's a dog. I don't
yeah,
know.
there's something there.
Something is there.
Definitely something
It
there.
is something there. I'm not saying it's Bigfoot. I'm just saying there's a guy in a suit up there for the tourists, you know?
Could be.
That's what I
Could
think.
be. Or it could be real.
Could be. I don't know. I'm just pointing it out to you folks.
It's
Because
awesome.
I know you want to see this
That's
stuff.
awesome. That's one of the best pictures I've ever seen. I'll tell you.
Jason Momoa. No, he's gorgeous. I know Jason
Jason
Momoa.
Momoa.
He's gorgeous. So, okay. This one is also out of Maui, Hawaii.
The mini
And
hoonie.
it's the Menehune. Is that how you say it?
Yep, mini hoonie is how they say it. Yeah, mini hoonie.
Menehune Swamp Man.
They're little people.
I can't. This one is pareidolia to me.
Yeah, but I see what they're talking, where the arrow is pointing.
There's two
What-
arrows, so I don't know what they're talking
Yeah.
about.
Well, you know, the thing is, I know that places, or at least I've heard, I can't say I know, I've never been to Hawaii, but I was watching some things about two guys that do some really great pig roasts and
Yeah.
stuff in there. There's little statues of little mini hoonies too in certain places in Hawaii. So
I think you
that
just like
that
to
could
say
even
Menehune.
yeah, that could even be a little figurine of a mini hoonie.
Oh.
If you've never heard of them, you should look it up, Nikki, and look at the lore because
Menehune
yeah,
lore.
it's really cool.
Well, there's another show. Do the Hawaiian thing. Okay. That's that one. And then there's oops, why did it not go? There we go. Wait, did I have it in two different places? I did. I was tired last night. It was 1:00 in the morning. Okay. Here's the next one.
Yeah, that's it, Raptor. Yeah, that's where I saw the two guys from Hawaii. Yeah, that's what I'm finding Bigfoot with Bobo. That's where they were talking about the mini hoonie.
Ah, cool. So this one, I don't think this is this one though. There wasn't any information on this other than it said half a body with no head. It said, but then people in the comments were saying they saw the head coming out and no body, and somebody else said that they saw many faces of something coming out. Okay. And the conversation was going, and then somebody posted their idea of what they see in this picture. So,
I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah. This is just a blurry nothing for reals. You cannot possibly see anything there. Nothing but your eyes making pictures because that's what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I see better pareidolia in my shower tiles.
Right? I know. It's really bad. It's really bad. Okay. Oh, and I threw Sasquatches in there because they are hilarious. I
The
think
Sasquatches.
I threw them in there because they are
You
hilarious.
gotta love the Sasquatch.
Oh, I love that one on the far right. I think that
Yeah.
one's my favorite.
Yeah.
Love it. Can you imagine working on a deer's ass to do that?
takes a special kind of person with a special kind of talent.
They're popular though. They're
Yeah.
starting to get all over the place. Grasshopper's like, what the fuck is that?
Sasquatch, man. It's awesome.
Oh man, it is. Hold on, where is it? Oh.
Oh, hell no.
Oh my goodness. I can't find my other one that I was looking for, but oh shoot. Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I hit the button too many times and it took me opened another StreamYard. So you have a jackalope. Those are cool. I always love jackalopes. Okay, so what's next? What do we've got next? We have got. Oh, I gotta find it because it's my new intro for it. We've got Bigfoot in the news. And today we have this wonderful creature. So this is out of science, and I think we've seen this before, but why it keeps popping up, it's just I'm going to tell you again. This is out of NBC News. Scientists set to prove Bigfoot is no myth. And then when you go to look at the article, it's just the huge model that was used in the 1977 shooting of Frank Kramer's film Yeti. That's it. There's no article. There's no, it was so crazy.
I thought I'd seen that movie. I guess I got to look that up and watch that movie. I don't think I've seen it. I thought I did.
Maybe I can find it on, maybe I can find it in the domain. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But it is kind of cool, big.
Yeah.
Except the eyes. I think they messed up with the eyes.
Yeah.
You should have made them darker.
Brow ridge should have been more accentuated.
Straight across, and they gave it like crazy. Yeah. But other than that, the body ain't bad. Next, we have Come a Skeptic, Leave a Believer. West North Carolina Bigfoot Festival returning to Marion. And it says that on Saturday, Friday, May 19th, is the Lake James Bigfoot Conference. Then on Saturday, May 20th, the festival begins in downtown Marion. There will be musical performances, guests, and a Bigfoot calling contest, and much more. I put that in there just to support, one of the Bigfoot things. I've been trying to stay away from all the advertising of the Bigfoot conferences and festivals that are coming up right now, but it is impossible. The news is just filled with conferences that are going on and festivals and lectures and all kinds of stuff like that. But so I added this one in, and I added another one near the end here. But so there you go. The next one was really weird. This one came out of Glorious Life, which is a Christian article or magazine. And it says Bigfoot and the Ascension. You're going to love this one, Sasquatch. So it says that, what about Bigfoot? What does Bigfoot have to do with the Ascension? Let me illustrate it. During a campfire story time around Halloween, one older member of the congregation began a story about something that had happened during his military service. He and his buddies were going camping for the weekend after receiving an early pass. He went up into the Sierras before the others to set up the campsite and spend the first night alone. He woke up to a noise in the camp and described the shape of the shadow of a creature he saw on his tent. One boy in the group shouted, "He's lying!" Thought he was a pretty good storyteller because in the course of his tale, he never once used the words Bigfoot or Sasquatch. But we all knew what the creature was from the description he gave. Setting the story of California helped too. Another important fact is that if I ever heard him tell a story again, the details would be different. It was a weird little thing, and I just was going to share it with you because it really made no sense. Other
Yeah,
than
that didn't make any sense.
a lying guy telling stories to kids and why it was ascension. I don't know. You guys can figure that one out, but there it is. It was there. It was news. So Yeti. And the next one is also just a fun thing to look at. There was a Bigfoot playing a guitar that I had to show you. This is out of the Strawberry Festival Parade out of Muskogee, Oklahoma. So, like I said, all over news about festivals, all over. Bigfoot's all over. It's getting to be, accepted a little bit more. If
Rockin'
not,
Bigfoot. I like it.
yeah, right. That's why I had
Jamming,
to show
man.
that one for sure. Fun. And the last one is, I have to share this one. Where these guys laughed. It's a 6 at 6 news story. And okay, there's the AI. Here's the 6 at 6. Let's pull that up so you can see.
Never for another day, another Bigfoot sighting. A woman in New Hampshire claims she saw Bigfoot while walking her dog in the woods near the town of Bartlett. She says she grabbed a hold of her dog and hid.
What happened? Oh, shit.
Grabbed a.
Oh. Are you still there? Hello?
Yep, I'm still here.
It took it out and then I took it out. So hold on. Let's see if I can bring it back up. I don't know what happened. I don't think StreamYard YouTube took it down. Could that have been?
I don't think so.
It's a news thing. Now where is it? Oh, great. Now we'll be able to find it. Oh, well. I guess you guys can't see the end of it. I don't know if I put it down in the description or not. Oh, wait a minute. Maybe I saved it here. Sorry, guys. Is this it? Here it is. I found it. A lot of clickies. Okay, let's try this one more time. And now it's not there. That is so weird.
Huh. I wonder why.
Present, share. There you go. Okay, now it's popping up. I think it just needed to upload, So we need to go to right here.
Some butterflies. Basically, they're long.
Hot cross.
Hot cross buns. There we go. Never for another day, another Bigfoot sighting. A woman in New Hampshire claims she saw Bigfoot while walking her dog in the woods near the town of Bartlett. She says she grabbed a hold of her dog and hid behind a tree as Bigfoot walked ahead of her. Most Bigfoot videos, she got some pretty grainy footage of a shadowy figure She claimed she also noticed a putrid smell like a decaying body.
Wow.
She turned the video over to the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization so they could investigate further. You don't go to the police. You go to this.
This is in Bartlett, Illinois?
That's in New Hampshire.
Oh, Bartlett.
Yeah, Bartlett, New Hampshire. Unfortunately, otherwise that'd be very exciting.
Yeah.
The Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization.
And also, let's not shame the poor guy, all right? Like saying that he
Bigfoot.
smells bad.
Yeah.
Come on. There's a lot of smelly folks out there right now. We don't need to be, shaming them.
Well, he's never going to come out of the woods if he knows we're going to make fun of him.
Right,
Yeah.
that's exactly
All right.
right.
Number 3, stop sitting with your legs crossed.
So that's pretty much what we get, right, from the majority of people out there. I think all pretty silly. They think we are pretty silly in regards to Bigfoot and seeing Bigfoot. But I was like, oh my God, they mentioned RMSO.
Yeah, that's what I was going to.
Yeah, for
No
sure.
wonder.
So that is Bigfoot in the news. Next we have up, be on the lookout. The first one up is, yay, Legend Meets Science 2 met its goal at $84,000. What is that? $822. So they are over their $80,000 goal, and I'm happy for that. I want to see my name on the credits. Yay! And I want to get the videos because I have not watched Legend Meets Science 1. So now I will be getting both of those.
Yeah. I saw the first one, but I think Doug's going to be on Steve's show too tonight.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So we'll be sure. Let's see, that's in 10 minutes. So we'll be sure to get through this. I'm almost done. So congrats to him. I'm glad he made that happen. Next is a shout out for Erik K. Swanson, who created Searching for Skunk Ape, Florida's Bigfoot. You hosted them yesterday, Joe. And
fun show.
Yeah, I only caught the last half of it. I have to go back and watch the whole thing, but I did watch the documentary today, and all I have to say, it was excellent, and I wanted more. It should have been an hour and 40 minutes, not just 40 minutes long.
Yeah, left you want more. That's what I felt like too.
Yeah, it was put together very well. I like the guy's voice. He's kind of a different
absolutely
kind of
perfect.
voice. I loved it. And
good piece of work.
Down in the description, you can find that link so you can look at it. But so good on Matt, our own Matt, see Central Florida Bigfoot. I'm trying to mark off and read at the same time. Matt Larson got things going on that corridor of his. So next, I would like to congratulate Mr. Anthony Esplanaire from Unidentified S4 for reaching 10,000 subs on YouTube and 62,000 on his Instagram. He is just hopping. He is doing so good, and just wanted to give him a little shout out here. He's doing a great job. He's got a great channel, a lot of great content. And my last one here on is in regards to Anna Makes Sense. Have you guys seen her post her stuff all around the groups? Anna Alexo, I think it's Alexo that you say her last name. I hope I'm not butchering it, Anna. But she sells soaps and candles through her Etsy shop, Anna Makes Sense. And they're so cute. So if you have somebody who loves Bigfoot stuff, give them this. I've got the link down in the description, and it's right there. And she does have a Facebook page, Anna Makes Sense Handmade Soap. You can also find her there and see all the little goodies she makes. It's really cool. I think we should support her and go to the page, you know?
Looks like
I
some
liked
cool
it. I
stuff.
told her I wanted to put her up here, and she said sure. So there you go.
You know, I'd be the first one to use some Bigfoot shaped soap, man.
I'm making my one bathroom. It wasn't planned, but it's starting to collect Bigfoot stuff in there. So I might have to buy some soaps to decorate in there. Put some
There you
stuff
go.
for sure. Yeah. And then we've got guess who? Guess who's coming back?
Oh, my favorite hoaxer in the whole wide world.
Your favorite. Let me see if I can find him. Oh gosh, that's not him. There you go. Can I make this bigger? Yeah, this is his latest. Just you guys listen and it explains.
The Bigfoot community better prepare for the return of greatness. I am the greatest Bigfoot hunter of all time. I put the B in Bigfoot. 2023 will be the year of Bigfoot. You know, you got to have some source of really good income to be a great Bigfoot hunter. You can't hunt for Bigfoot broke, and these guys that are making a fool of themselves hunting in their backyard, who in the hell do they think they're fooling? Some people say I'm infamous. Some people say I'm great, but everyone knows my name. I've been in movies, TV shows, Time and People magazine, Newsweek, just to name a few. I'm to that point where I can start tracking again. I will unalive another Bigfoot.
He's going to unalive.
Can you say narcissist?
Yeah. What's the B and B? Yeah, he
He
does.
puts
Danny,
the
you
B in
are
something,
correct.
all right. More like bull hockey.
Bull hockey. He's a bull hockey. So anyway, yeah, it's happening. I just let it talk for himself, and I'll keep you posted. I'll keep an eye on him for you. So last, my notion for the night. Sasquatch says, sometimes you need to take a break from everyone and spend time alone to experience, appreciate, and love yourself. I took that from somebody else on Facebook. It wasn't mine, okay? But I liked it. So there you go. And that is the show, folks. So just in time for you to make it over to Squatch DTV and support old Coles over there in his doing. Thank you, Joe, for coming. You got anything coming up?
Oh, what's that? I'm sorry, I missed that.
You have anything coming up?
Not right away.
Okay.
But yeah, there's always going to be something coming up, I guess.
Well, then we will get out of here. And everybody, thank you for coming. Please hit that like button. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you want me to talk about. And don't forget to subscribe. Right there in the letter. Subscribe.
Hit the like button. Hit the like button.
Hit it. Help me out. But I love you guys. Thank you for being here. Roll the credits.